SpaceX Starship had an accident over the Bahamas. Let's see it.
Mom.
Yeah.
Why is it coming through the Earth? Mom, why is it coming through the Earth?
It's being sent to space.
Whoa! What the holy?
What is that?
What just happened?
That is so cool. I caught that on camera.
That's insane.
What was that? What was that, Mom? Mom.
Yeah.
It almost looked like it hit something. What was that?
Shooting stars?
What is that?
What are those?
Look up, everybody! Look up! Look up!
So, is this the debris from what happened earlier? Or are these just Autobots and Decepticons?
Texas, Elon Musk's SpaceX losing contact with its massive multi-billion-dollar Starship on its unmanned 7th test launch. Tom Costello joins us now with more. Tom, what have you learned?
It happened at about 5:30 p.m. Eastern time, Lester, and Starship was off the pad very quickly. Everything looked like it was going just great, and a few minutes after liftoff, in fact, the booster rocket came back down to the pad just as SpaceX has planned and demonstrated that they can do in that incredible move. However, at about the same time, Starship, the spaceship, apparently disappeared. SpaceX says that they lost telemetry. We have video from the Turks and Caicos Islands of what may be Starship breaking up over the islands. So now SpaceX says that they will try to understand the root cause of what happened as it apparently disassembled, in the words of SpaceX, broke apart over the islands there. This is a rocket they want to use someday to go to the moon and maybe even Mars, Lester.
Pretty dramatic pictures there. Tom, thank you. Breaking.
If it is debris, who's going to clean it up? Where would it even land?
Wow. What the? What is that? What is that? What the? Stop.
At 9:45, we stop it. Now I'm going to get right in the way. This appears through the clouds. Watch what happens, because it moves pretty quick. I'll get out of the way. Comes at us and goes over. What do you think that was?
What is it? There's another one, it looks like.
Well, that's a planet.
Oh.
So you don't got to worry about that. That
All
just
right.
keeps going down. At 9.
Whatever that UAP or orb was, it had some high maneuvering capabilities. If you're enjoying these videos, please consider leaving a like and subscribe, because we do these every single day, and I'd love to see you tomorrow.
Holy shit!
It's almost like they're conditioning us to get used to seeing anomalies up in the sky. This is still spectacular, and I'm just like, wow, what is this? But at the same time, it's like, this is just the beginning. UAP, orbs, UFOs. We still need questions answered about the drones in New Jersey. Now we got this popping up.
It failed, but at least it was entertaining. That's what Elon Musk said after his SpaceX Starship exploded over the Atlantic Ocean shortly after liftoff in Texas. The blast sent glowing debris flying through the sky, which ended up causing flight delays. It failed, but at least it was entertaining. That's what Elon
This had to be the most expensive firework ever done.
Am I the only person who's not really buying the story? Well, let me show you why. So let's start off with the fact that it was Ship 33 that had the issue, apparently. Out of all ships, Ship 33. In every single angle of the video we have, we see it going with the horizon and not going up and down vertically. All the vertical tapes were people holding their camera the opposite way, like you can see right here. But what if I told you we've been seeing this exact type situation every month for a few months now? Like, for instance, this was the one that happened about 1 month ago, and they deemed it not a meteor shower, and it happened when all the crazy stuff was happening in the northeast United States, if you get what I'm talking about. Further, do you remember this type of stuff always popping up in the sky? Well, after Starlink came out, they claimed that every single one of these was just Starlink, even though it started happening way before Starlink. All over the place. Then we have people coming out saying, oh, there's whole fleets of interdimensional creatures on the way to Earth. So, I mean, is this really Ship 33 going straight with Horizon? Oh, it's so fast and gravity will stay up. I doubt it. Plus, keeping the same color the entire time without dimming out. And by the way, did you know that spiritual things make humans act funny? At the same exact time, a few cars drove off the bridge. A few cars off the bridge in Washington, D.C. Again, same time. Not to mention having a full moon 4 days in a row. Look at this from the launch. Do you think that this would make it into space? It's layered up with aluminum foil. Am I the only person who's not really buying the story?
Shout out to Real Moon Henry. Having a full moon for 4 days is extremely wild. Did you guys notice that as well?
I want you to think about this. Something with the capabilities of traveling light years, not showing a heat signature, and the energy capabilities of that. That would put the Pentagon out of business. We wouldn't be fighting these worthless wars overseas over oil, and American boys and girls wouldn't be dying. It would put the war pigs out of business, and they'd have to go somewhere else. And I'm all for that. I'm all for that. I think what's going to happen now, the floodgates, other people are going to say, you know, I've got some information. I'd like to come swear in. I've seen enough, and I would hope that you all would get that opportunity to see what we've seen.
How awesome would it be for them to come clean about all UFOs?
Flooded entrance gateway at the first pylon of the Temple of Isis, Philae, Egypt, 1900s.
How amazing would it be to be one of those explorers rowing in to the Temple of Isis? I wonder if it's still there.
Today, we are going into a strange temple in India. There seems to be a weird energy in this temple, and as we go towards the center of the structure, the energies. Today, we are going into a strange temple in India. There seems to be a weird energy in this temple, and as we go towards the center of the structure, the energy seems to increase. But you can see the base here. There's a lot of tiny cylindrical stone statues. This is very odd. I've not seen this type of architecture. But let's see what happens. Yeah, this one rotates. This is unbelievable. Why is the saint who is in deep meditation designed to rotate?
If all those different things that spun was actually like some type of combination lock, and if you got it correct, something opens up.
The Aventine Keyhole is a keyhole at the Villa del Priorato di Malta in Rome, which was granted extraterritorial status by Italy in 1869. When you peek through the keyhole, you actually have 3 countries in your line of sight: Malta, Italy, and the Vatican City.
A backdrop for your keyhole looking at 3 different countries is insane. What on earth was that? It looked like some type of teapot.
When we look at the sarcophagus, what we find is that these are not made of the red granite that we see in Aswan, because the granite is made of 3 primary minerals: quartz, feldspar, and mica. In the case of Aswan granite, we have rose quartz, and we have a pink feldspar. This is not the case. When in Saqqara, what we find is something called black granite. And this is fascinating to me because it is a lower quartz, only about 20% quartz, rather than the 84% that we find in Aswan. Lower quartz granite, high percentage of biotite mica. Geologically, what does this tell us? The mica itself, the biotite, is a powerful insulator. Whatever was happening inside of that sarcophagus, these devices were built to contain whatever was happening, to contain the energy, to protect whatever was happening inside, and also to protect whatever was happening inside from an external environment. When we look at the sarcophagus,
They're saying that's a sarcophagus? Sounds more like a giant battery.
When you look at this facet here, there's a bubble trapped on it, which makes it super cool. And pieces this big, you can't really move it too much, but this one was so nice that it's so close to the surface. When you look at this facet here, there's a bubble trapped on.
I wonder if you put that water under a microscope, what would you see? What type of organisms are inside of it?
The Carolinas and Florida and all the way up are finally getting our own blizzard. You know, it's been a while for us. Also, Georgia, the top of Florida, the temperature on Tuesday is going to be like in the teens. The maps we have so far look like this, heavy snow risk on that whole line, and I think that the top of Florida will just get snow like everyone else. And I mean, this is actually crazy. You say winter all you want, but in the Carolinas, we don't really get snow, besides the mountainous regions. But snow in Florida is definitely like a once in 10, 15, 20 years thing. The craziest part about it is the temperatures in the Carolinas and Georgia will allow it to snow all day on Tuesday and possibly even Wednesday. And believe it or not, we're within the realm of possibilities to get like up to a foot of snow depending on how this thing moves. Which is super similar to what Into Thin Air put 2 weeks ago about this exact storm. And you can actually find Into Thin Air now on Facebook at Brian Smith, so check him out. And with it as rare as it is, I do wonder if this invisible fog all over the Earth has anything to do with it. Or maybe the supercharged electrons over the United States randomly for no reason. You know, the weather has had a mind of its own this year. Pretty awesome stuff. Let me know your thoughts below.
You do have to admit, this weather has been absolutely crazy in 2025.
Look what I found. Plant-based water. What does that mean?
Nah, what does that mean? I would like to know. Y'all out here putting hydrangeas and headlocks to get the H2O? Compressing cactuses? I need to know something because I feel like y'all scamming a little bit. Is the bottle plant-based? Or when you say plant, do you mean a plant as in the factory that it was made? Or do you mean plant as in one that has a cell wall and chloroplast?
Using photosynthesis. That's the type of plant we're talking about.
You always see a bird's eye view of a city. Well, guess what? Since 1783, people have been flying around up in the air. That really kind of changes the way that you think about how people travel. What does this look like? This looks like an Oscar Mayer. Remember that whole little car that rolled around? Yeah, you know why they were doing that? Because they're trying to make fun at Blimps so that you don't look back in time and see that everybody was flying around in Blimps in 1783. Then you go into this. This is the blimp that used to take place at the World's Fairs. They used to have little blimp races. They had the technology in 1783 to fly around, but they only released the technology in 1901 during the World Fair. You see how this game goes? 1783, people are flying around in hot air balloons. So you ever wonder why there are all these photos called bird's eyes photos of history? You always see a bird's eye view of a city. Well, guess what? Since 1783, people have been flying around up in the air. And if you think about that, that really kind of changes the way that you think about how people traveled. You know, the whole Christopher Columbus, 1492, sailed the ocean blue nonsense, bunch of Mason BS nonsense that they fed you. Well, actually, people were getting around in the air. And when you start to think about people flying around in the air and going across the ocean with the air, it kind of changes everything. Now, a lot of people ask, you know, with this whole UFO thing that they're talking about and whatever else, why did the blimps go away? Well, the blimps went away because there was the Hindenburg incident in which you always see a...
That's like saying one car gets into an accident, so we all stop driving cars.
Look closely, and you can see the skull and crossbones inside of this rock crystal. The ring was made 280 years ago, and it's a particularly good example of mourning jewelry. What would usually happen is if you were wealthy enough, you would leave some money in your will for gold rings like this one to be made and handed out to close family and friends at your funeral so that they can keep you close at all times during their grieving period. Why the skull? It may seem a bit dark, but it was a popular symbol for memento mori, which means remember death in Latin, and objects like coffins and skulls were often used as a stark reminder to cherish and make the most of each day because tomorrow is never guaranteed.
Very interesting. I don't know how I would feel about that.
Manolis's stone bridge in Greece is the last bridge over the Agraphiotis River near Karpanisi. It is a single-arched bridge that is underwater almost all year. Only part of its arch is visible, except during the summer months when the water level drops and the whole bridge is visible.
How creepy was that? It was like the alien had organic sunglasses.
One of the most unexplained places spotted on Earth is Lake Kiluk, the most mineralized lake in the world. Each of its 365 spots holds a unique chemical content and is said to cure different diseases.
In the comments, they're saying that is in India and it is a mineral dye pond. They use that to dye clothing, furniture, and handbags. Is it all natural? I don't know.
Did you know that the Chocolate River in the 1971 film Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory was made from 150,000 gallons of water, real chocolate, and cream? Because of the cream, the river eventually began to spoil, and by the end of the filming, it smelled terrible. Michael Bollner, who plays Augustus Gloop in the film, once called it dirty, stinky water. Did you know that the Chocolate River in the...
That's disgusting. They didn't think that one all the way through. We are looking at is real shipwreck treasure. What we are looking at is real shipwreck treasure. Looks like this could have been a cross of some kind, and it looked like it is fusing with the coral. They're saying these are dinosaur eggs. What in the world?
About what you're doing with your hair. If you put static or DuPont plastic on your scalp, you're going to build up static and you're going to begin to lose your hair. So if you think about the old wood combs or the cow horn combs or the bullhorn combs, those are really beautiful for the hair. As you're scraping through and improving the lymphatic pathways of the brain, you want to be using a natural material. You know, you also can look into a chlorine water filter as well, so you're not putting chlorine on the scalp. Your hair is intense, and this is why a lot of people begin to lose their hair, because they gather all this static. Think about it, like you rub your hair and it's all staticky, and then it starts to frizz and starts to stand up, and then it starts to fall out. I got a nice wood one and I just run through my hair, and that's it. The wood comb should kind of almost put you to sleep. Even with the cow horn comb, it should just kind of put you to sleep, because what's happening is it's allowing the lymphatic pathways of the brain to begin to relax and the blood flow to move through the scalp, which a lot of times blood flow is not happening up here. Copper combs. Yeah, if you can find a copper comb too, that's another great one. And I should have mentioned that as I'm holding my copper cup as well. Copper is sometimes a little bit challenging to work with because it can start to bend a little bit, but that's another great one too. Copper is the precursor to your hair follicles and collagen and your brain. So it would kind of make sense to use a copper comb as well too.
A copper comb? That's interesting. It makes sense. I've been kind of going wild. You know, but putting a little copper in there, that's a good idea. That was an interesting design. Was it supposed to be a lighter or a pocket-sized portable lantern? What type of visual trickery is this? Oh, okay, I see now. It does look like they're in the bottom of the ocean, but I believe that's ice under them and they're upside down. That's what's going on. Yeah, it's definitely ice. It looks cool though. It definitely looks cool. If you made it this far, please consider leaving a like and subscribe because we do this every single day and I'd love to see you tomorrow. This was the most disturbing videos on the internet today.